High-speed rail is rapidly changing face throughout Africa. Unbelievable! Thanks to high-speed rail, we can now travel over Africa at 320 kilometers per hour. There are 2 decks on the train. Furthermore, you should be aware that the fastest train speed in a wealthy nation such as the United States is just 260 kilometers per hour. Although a massive high-speed rail project for Africa has been proposed, the high-speed rail system for the whole continent is just the beginning. They want to employ high-speed rail to strengthen the country's economy. This is Africa's and China's first high-speed rail system. It is also Morocco's first high-speed rail as part of the country's urban high-speed rail plan. At 320 kilometers per hour, the high-speed train is comparable to Europe's Eurostar high-speed rail. Such double-decker high-speed rail cars have never been seen before, not even in China, yet they are already being manufactured. The architecture of the high-speed rail coach is also significantly more opulent than that of any high-speed rail train. By standard rail, connect Casablanca and Tangier bypassing through it, Morocco's capital, 2 of the country's main commercial centers. Transportation from one location to another would take 5 hours. It now just takes 2 hours to get there. Traveling at this speed, you could go from New York to Washington in roughly 90 minutes, considerably alleviating the citizens' transit concern. Take this high-speed rail train. Moroccans may be heard giggling throughout the train if you do. It is apparent that Moroccans value this tough, high-speed rail. So why did Morocco go into debt to develop the world's fastest railway network? Morocco, with a population of 36 million people, has traditionally been one of the wealthiest nations. This country has the 6th highest GDP in Africa. It's natural that they'd want a loan to construct the high-speed rail. Nonetheless, the country has been grappling with the global financial crisis since 2000 as a result of developments in West Asia and North Africa. Morocco's economy has been plagued by major problems. Morocco's economic expansion has reached a stumbling block. In such a circumstance, a country's progress is jeopardized. As a result, Morocco opted to adopt China's development strategy in 2010. If you want to be wealthy, you must first construct roads. Despite the fact that it was deemed a debt trap at the time, the Moroccan government opted to spend substantially on infrastructure in order to expand up the railway and encourage more foreign firms to invest in more. Morocco should instead invest in education in disadvantaged regions in order to link 43 local communities. The nation intends to construct 3,800 kilometers of conventional trains and 1,500 kilometers of high-speed rail line. Due to a lack of money, the first phase of the high-speed rail project, which began in 2011, would cost $2.04 billion and cover 200 kilometers. Morocco chose to seek project funding from France, China, Saudi Arabia, and other nations. As part of the agreement, China committed to finance money for the project and pledged to finish the railway in 5 years. The intended French replica is expensive and takes a long time, at least 7 years. They aim to battle hard for this concept. Politicians in France have long planned to take advantage of this in order to grab control of the continent's high-speed rail industry. They also say that when they were there, they intended French to become the main language on the continent. As a result, France is willing to donate 50 of the funds for the Moroccan project, with the other 50 coming from Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates, since he thinks France's railroad was built earlier than China's and uses superior technology. Morocco's monarch chose to cede it. Morocco, which is now cash-strapped, has different views on this. Some people believe China's growth pace is fast and cheap because China is the best option for resolving this problem. It should be picked over Europe. China completed the project after completing the most challenging portion, the third bid phase. This portion is 24 kilometers long in total, yet it took China 4 years to construct, while the other 173 kilometers took other nations 7 years. You might have a query regarding establishing your own high-speed railway. China, a nation with considerable infrastructure development skills, will lead the effort to complete 500 kilometers in 4 years. However, Morocco will only need 3 years for 27 kilometers. Furthermore, the 173 km railway took 7 years to build under French supervision. What is the reason behind this? The first issue is the cultural divide between China and the United States. According to the Chinese technical team, China is unable to execute the project rapidly. As a result, In order to accelerate development, its employees are permitted to work around the clock, even on holidays. Morocco, a nation in northern Africa, was originally a French and Spanish colony. The local region has considerable laws and labor limitations that safeguard local employment considerably. When China began working on the project, just 100 Chinese employees were sent to the region. The remaining 1,300 laborers were all hired from inside the neighborhood. Local employees, on the other hand, value personal freedom and rights more strongly. They will not agree to deploy low-wage labor for extended hours because the Chinese will protest. Instead, Chinese workers are free to work whenever they wish, in contrast to local employees who are confined to 8 hours of work each day. The project cannot be completed as quickly as China. Second, Morocco agreed to collaborate with the Chinese technical team to build the high-speed rail network in accordance with French railroad standards, since France is the project's primary investor. They'd never seen anything like French rails before. Even if there is a 0.1 difference in measurement, calculation, monitoring, or construction, they must relearn. It has to be altered again to account for regional cultural differences. China spent 4 years constructing 27 kilometers. France's high-speed rail ambitions are no exception. The 173-kilometer high-speed rail line took 7 years to build. We may now understand why Europe's infrastructure development is moving so slowly. The procedure of having a request granted is the first step. Second, more individuals are taking part in environmental demonstrations. Third, they place a greater emphasis on the individual's rights and liberties. The intersection of these elements will slow down any engineering efficiency. In contrast to the Indian, the project was finished despite its very sluggish development. After 5 years, it has barely developed 10 kilometers. Moroccan authorities are overjoyed that the railway is finally completed. They have also seen China's rapid progress in this endeavor. Moroccan officials are astounded by the Chinese technical team's achievements and astounded by China's high productivity and serious demeanors. The constructed railroad astounded everyone in Africa and signified the continent's progress. In the past, just the water separated Morocco from Europe. While high-speed rail was already popular in Europe, Morocco's subway system grew considerably more slowly than it did on that continent. Morocco's access to modern trains and buses is restricted. Morocco will continue to collapse until it reforms. There is presently one high-speed rail line in service, with others on the way. Morocco will construct almost 1,500 kilometers of subways and renovate and rehabilitate 3,000 kilometers of domestic lines, with the remainder of the projects being developed in China or Europe. It's still a mystery. However, after Indonesia's demonstration of the strength and speed of China's high-speed rail at the G20, Morocco also formally enacted a visa-free policy for Chinese visitors. China clearly has the possibility to participate on the 3 further railroad development projects in Morocco. It is expected that if Morocco and China form a joint venture in the future, they would be able to construct 1,500 kilometers of high-speed rail by 2035. Morocco's economy is predicted to perform better than that of other African nations at the period, and it will also outperform them in terms of transportation development. Please share your thoughts and opinions. Click here to view a video about another frightening project.